Hello everybody!
Welcome back to your Florida adventures.
As you might notice, Mr. Lewis Miller is not on your screens tonight because we are taking over. I'm Evie.
And I'm Freddy.
And tonight we're going to be talking hints and tips for your next Florida trip with our special guest,
Lewis Miller. So, welcome back
to your Florida adventures. This is the show where we talk travel news, we chat to our guests, and we discover their hints and tips for their next Florida trip. And tonight we have a really special guest. It is the one and only
Lewis Miller.
Let's get him in the stream. Come on. Hello.
Hello.
Oh. Hello.
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 Yeah, hello. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm very nervous, I've got to say.
Well, it's your first time as a guest.
It is, yes, indeed. Indeed.
Okay, let's see the chat and let's see who's on. Okay. Hello, Catherine. That's my stepmom.
And welcome, Danny.
Hello,
welcome.
Danny.
Hello.
Okay. So how has your week been, Mr. Lewis Miller?
Yeah, it's been good. Things are starting to, well, things have been getting busy from a travel point of view, which has been good, even though the news is up and down. It's been good, so that's nice. And obviously I've had you two to entertain.
Yeah.
Well, we've had you two to entertain this week. So that's kept me on my toes as well. So yeah. It's all is well.
Okay, so tonight we are taking over and we're going to do something quite new that we've never done before in this show because, you know, it's a takeover. We do things differently. We're going to be a bit silly and we're going to start with a question and we're going to go round and see everyone's answers. Now, the question is, what are your favourite Disney toilets? Go on, you answer first.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Oh, what a question. So my favourites, I guess, are the ones over at the Rapunzel area, I guess.
The Rapunzel area, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I've got quite a few. I'm not gonna lie.
Of course.
I like the ones over by Carousel of Progress. There's ones that I favour over behind World of Disney in Disney Springs, but I particularly like the theming of the ones around Rapunzel. So that's my favourites.
Okay, Freddy.
Yeah, mine are probably the ones just before you go into the around the world thing. You know what I'm talking about?
World Showcase.
World Showcase. Yeah. Just because, you know, I met my good friend Chip there.
Yeah, so if you don't know, which you probably do because we've mentioned it about 3 times, probably more than that. Freddie met a cast member while he was in those toilets. Do you want to tell the story?
Yeah, well, you've probably heard it before.
Just quickly.
But the story is basically there's a cleaner called Chip who I'm guessing works in the Epcot toilets, and he started having a chat with me through the toilet door as I was in there, which was a little bit odd, but
it's become a little bit of an inside joke with our family. So would you say those are your favourite toilets?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so I would have to agree with the Rapunzel toilets because the theming is amazing and they look pretty cool. So
I don't know whether you guys noticed, but somebody actually put on the Get Binky Do What Makes You Happy Florida chat about the gaps that are in the toilets.
Yes.
And they are very, very large indeed. Certainly in some of them, you can certainly see people and the business that they are doing. So anyway, and Danny's saying that toilets around the back of the Journey into Imagination Pavilion because they still play the old 1982 Imagination area music, which is pretty cool. So, and yeah, I was going to say, Facebook user We don't know who you are, but it is very odd.
It's the kids' takeover, and we wanted to start with something a bit silly. So look at this show with no lag.
Show with no lag today.
Yeah, we had to stop using the other laptop completely. So the kids have taken over my studio, as you can see, and I'm in the dining room on my phone. So that's how it works. That's how we're rolling right now.
I mean, you are the guest and we are the hosts tonight.
Yes,
so
right, exactly.
That's how it's going to work.
Right. Indeed.
Okay. So let's get started into like your Florida and Disney experiences. So how many times have you been to Disney?
Okay, so you reminded me this earlier.
Yes.
So my very first time was in 1987. I went with my folks, obviously. I was 12 years old, I think. I celebrated my 13th birthday when we were there. We went around October time. We flew in, I don't really remember it, but we flew in to a hurricane, or the end of a hurricane. And apparently Disney was actually closed for a couple of days. And that was the very first time it was shut. So we stayed at the Quality Inn on International Drive. And I think my mum mentioned it the other day that we were taken to the Florida Mall for the very first day because everything else was shut, and we'd never seen anything like it. It's like, we were used to high streets and stuff. Then I had a bit of a gap really because, and I'm sure you're going to pick me up on this in a minute. I decided that I was too cool for school, and my parents went, and I decided not to for a couple of times. And then I don't think I went again until 1999.
Can we get this straight, guys? Can we get this straight?
We're exposing him.
You said no. You turned down a Disney trip because you thought you were too cool.
Yeah. So I think I was 16 or 17, and my folks decided that they were going to go again, and So I didn't go with them. They went on their own, and I didn't go. I really regret. One of my biggest regrets. Absolutely. One of my biggest regrets.
I regret that for you.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. And then then I had another little gap, and then Evie and I actually went in 2008, and then we went in 2009. Then we went 2013, 2017, 2018, and we were due to go last year, but weren't able to due to normal, circumstances that we all know. And so it's definitely a bit of a spread over, stuff through time and stuff. So it's You guys have probably been pretty much nearly as much as I have, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have you been to Florida?
I haven't. Well, my first time going, I don't think was to Florida. I think my first time was to Paris, but to Florida, I went with you the first time. Well, I've been with you all the time. So I think I've only been to Florida 3 times, but 3 times out of 15 years still isn't that bad.
I've been to Florida 5 times, so I think I'm pretty close to you, aren't I?
Yeah, absolutely. You totally are. And I'm sorry, guys, I've just had a message from Mr. Dale Campbell on my phone just to say that I'm just going to double check the names. So that's why I'm fiddling with my phone. Simone and Emma are watching for the very first time. So, and that's, I believe that's Dale's sister. And so Simone and Emma are watching. So hello, guys. Thanks for joining us.
You've chosen a really good episode to watch to start with. You get to see us on the screen.
Indeed.
Okay, so I just want to say, please, we're going to have like a question time nearer the middle of the show. So please put in your questions and we'll put them on the screen and we'll go around and answer them. And then I'm going to ask you some questions about your earlier trips, because I know you told me that you can't really remember much, but let's see what you do remember. So Your first ever trip, you mentioned
Yeah.
about the hurricane thing. Is that
Yep.
everything you remember?
Is that all I remember?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Yes. I was 12. Sorry, the other thing I should have mentioned is that I have been to California. So I went to California when I was about 15. And again, I don't really remember much about that. I can remember a couple of things, but I'll share that with you in a bit. And I've also been to Disneyland Paris a few times as well. So just wanted to throw that in.
All right.
But what do I remember about 1987? Not a great deal. I just remember eating a lot, and everybody who knows me in the Disney community knows that I'm a bit of a foodie. So I think every photo that your grandparents took of me has some sort of food in it, and I'm wearing vest tops as well. So like because it was like so hot. And I do remember that we went to Kennedy Space Center. And bearing in mind that in 1987 there was only 2 parks open at Disney World, so there was only Magic Kingdom and Epcot. So we went there. We went to Wet and Wild. We went to Boardwalk and Baseball. I've mentioned that a few times in different shows. What a place that was! I think that lasted about 3 years, and we pretty much had that park to ourselves. I think we went to Busch Gardens. We did Cypress Gardens, as was then, which is Legoland now. And we went to Silver Springs and did the glass bottom boats. So Claire's on and saying she loves Kennedy Space Center. So absolutely. And do you know what? Actually, we haven't been to Kennedy Space Center as a family, and I haven't actually been back since that time. So it's a trip well overdue.
Definitely. So you mentioned about your California trip.
Yes.
Now you've been once, right? So do you remember anything about that?
I don't remember nothing about Disney at all. Really, and I've asked my folks for photos as well. I've never seen any. So I don't remember anything about that. I remember about where we stayed, and remember the very first night flying into LA, and we couldn't find the apartments that we were staying in, and we just drove past some police guys who were out on the curbside, and they were talking to somebody, and me and my dad got out and just stood beside them, sort of like waiting for them to finish. And obviously they were having quite a serious conversation with this bloke. And the police force in the States are completely different to the police over here. It's a quite a serious thing, and we're just standing there waiting to get directions from from the police guys. I remember walking down Hollywood Boulevard, where all the Hollywood stars are, and thinking it was the biggest dump in the world. Even at 15, it was just shocking. And I was, at the time, it was cool to wear dungarees for youths of your age now. As a 15-year-old, it was cool to wear dungarees and a rugby shirt. And I remember I was wearing these. Yeah, don't ask. And night K-night trainers with like high top trainers. And basically, I walked down like with my rugby shirt on, my dungarees with one of the lapels kind of hanging down, and there was these guys just literally they were just going. There was this. Sorry, I just got distracted there for a minute. I was just like, there was these guys on the side. They were drinking, and I don't know whether they were homeless or not, but they were going, "Hey, country boy, yeah, you go back there, country boy, yeah."
That was great.
Yeah, and I at 15, that scared the life out of me because they were just kind of aggressive. So Andy Robson, the show that I'm referring to, that I've kind of mentioned these stories before, is the Do What Makes You Disney podcast. I know you want me to get that in, so do take a listen to that.
Have we got There we go. A little plug. You want to go to Disney podcast?
What?
I didn't mean to do that, but
Oh,
well.
there you go. Nice. Nicely done.
But
Anything can happen.
Lewis Miller, I've got to have a conversation with you, you see.
Okay.
Because I want to know about California, and I want to know if you're going to take us in the future.
That's a good question.
So 100%, I would love to go back. It's completely different to the way it was back then. There was no California Adventure, and I'd love to take you guys for a trip to do a few nights in California doing Disney, and then maybe if Mum will allow it and the budget can do it, then head over to Hawaii and do Alani for a few nights, and
Oh my God, yeah.
then head back. And I'd love to also go to San Francisco and maybe do do the Walt Disney Museum up in San Francisco, the Family Museum, which it looks really, really lovely. So, yeah, that's kind of when Mum's 50, doing the 50th. It's my 50th. It's your 18th birthday, which is about 3 or 4 years' time. Then we will do that. So it would definitely be
well, we've got
trip.
this recorded now, so now you've said that, it has to happen.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, if everybody buys the holidays through Your Great Adventures, there's my little plug, then we will be able to do that. So there you go.
Okay, let's put this comment on. I like this. Nice plug. Check is in the mail. Thank you. Okay.
Absolutely.
We need to hire this girl for our marketing. You really do. Hashtag expert Evie on the online here. Okay, so let's jump a bit, and we're going to go to 2008, and this is your first time with me.
It
So
is.
you were telling me about something that stood out to you was the character interactions we had on that trip. So can you?
Yeah, there was two things that really stood out to me on that trip. The first one was that you were 4 years old, Evie, and as cute as a button, not like now. And we took you to the Bibbidi Bobbidi boutique, and you had a full Belle makeover. And I know we've talked about this on this show before, but for me as a dad, that was amazing. And you did this little parade, after you're all dressed up. I mean, you like the way they dressed like these little 4 year olds up, with all the makeup, and you're kind of thinking, crikey, you probably could have been 15, really, but obviously not. But the makeup that was being used was so adult-like, and you did this little parade, and you all got on the little carousel in Disney Springs, and did that, and it was just so lovely to witness that as a parent. And then we then went to Hollywood Studios. And every time that a cast member saw you, you were chosen for. We've spoken about this. Get the rose from Belle at the Beauty and the Beast, in the Beauty and the Beast theatre, the musical. You got lots of different special treatments, so that was really good. But your character interaction, particularly with princesses, was something again that I will always remember. Your little face. And just like looking up at these guys in total awe. And I think actually the following year we got this incredible, the PhotoPass guys got this incredible photo of you with Snow White outside the Germany pavilion. And you were just like so taken aback by Snow White, and she was so good with you. And then she gave you this kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
And there was just massive lipstick mark on your cheek, and you turned around, and the photographer just kept taking the photos of you walking past with this humongous, lipstick mark on your cheek. But it was just so magical for you.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely a really awesome. They're the things that kind of really stick out.
Definitely, I remember that photo. I know that it's in Grandma and Granddad's house. It's like in a a photo frame, and there's like different pictures of that interaction. So yeah, definitely remember that. And talking about Grandma and Granddad, they've put a comment.
Yeah.
Mum and Dad are watching, and we'll keep you right.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
There we go.
I'm sure they absolutely will. Definitely.
Okay, so let's move on to 2013. This is the first time we went with Freddy.
As a family, yeah.
Yes.
And it's the first time we stayed on site as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
let's talk about Old Key West. So I'm going to share the screen.
Okay. Hopefully it'll work in some way.
Yeah.
Shape, or form.
And then we're going to see.
So we've had some new technology in the house, and I've gone from PC to Apple, and then so the kids are using my MacBook, and we then realised that we didn't know how to share like the keynote or the PowerPoint correctly. So unfortunately, we're going to have to do it like this. So
okay,
there you go.
Can still see it. Yeah. So these are pictures of Old Key West, which is where we stayed in 2013. Yeah. So, what does everyone remember about this resort?
Yeah, I mean, so for me personally, we'd always either stayed in a hotel, or in the previous trip we'd stayed. Previous couple of trips we stayed in villas or a condo. So we'd never experienced an on-site before. It was again, I think I've basically said this a lot, that there were 6 of us. I mean, you guys were young, so you were kids, but there were 6 of us that went. We had a 2-bedroom villa in Old Key West, and with a full dining plan, flights and everything. And we went during the height of summer, and I think it cost about £10,500, which for at that, you know, if you think now what you get, you can't get anything like that for £10,500. So it was such a great deal, and that place was really, it's large. It's a large resort. It's a big resort. But I mean, so I just want to apologise to any of my American friends that are maybe watching or watch this back. But you know, we've read lots of really negative reports about Old Key West, because they were saying that, oh, you know, if you stay in one of the house numbers, it's like a 10-minute walk to main reception and the main hub and all that kind of stuff. And we never really found that. We had we were right bang in the middle, and we had a great time. And we walked to the main pool and stuff really easily. And I think it was just because we're quite used to walking around and stuff like that. So yeah, we spent a lot of time in the small pool, which was right next to our apartment, and we were facing out onto the golf course, so it was amazing. It was a great place with lots of space. We had very noisy upstairs neighbours though, and that was a bit unfortunate. But other than that, the hotel, the complex, the resort, it was just so good.
Yeah. So, Freddie, do you remember anything about the resort?
Well, Lewis, I'm sure that there were car parking spots. I'm sure that there were cars that you could drive from the villas, which I'm sure I remember that. But I really liked Old Key West, and I specifically remember, like, the main thing I remember is going down the slide. The wrong way, and then getting told off by the lifeguard.
Yeah, so basically there was this slide, and it went round and round. So when you were on it, the lifeguard couldn't see you. So what we used to do was like turn and face the other way in the middle of the slide, and then turn backwards at the end, so the lifeguard couldn't see us. And Freddie didn't turn backwards in time. He got told off, and that is quite a funny story.
But that wasn't the only time I got told off in that pool, because I also got told off again I'm pretty sure I used a snorkel.
Oh yeah.
And then apparently I looked like I was dead, so I wasn't allowed to use it anymore.
Yeah, I remember that too. I do remember that.
This is the one that gets in trouble.
But yeah, I mean, like like so. Your grandmother has put a comment up saying that Old Key West is a large resort and the staff were amazing, and that's absolutely true. We were treated incredibly, and yeah, you're right, Freddie. The bellhops guys, basically, I think when we got there, the bellhop guys basically said, "Do you have a car?" And we said no, and they just put all our luggage on one of the carts, and I think we all got a trip around on one of the golf cart things. So it was definitely that it's very cool. Very cool.
I think one thing we have to mention about Old Key West, though, is the wasps. Basically, we had the refillable mugs. So we went to get our drinks, and there was about 10,000 wasps around the drinks machine every single time. So that was annoying. But apart from that, the resort is really, really good.
Yeah. And the other thing we should really mention, I know we've mentioned this before, but the other thing we should mention about Old Key West is that you can get the boat from the resort to Disney Springs, which is a really good benefit. So, it's just an easy way to get to Disney Springs, and it's lovely getting that breeze through when it's a hot day. So, yeah.
Definitely.
So, Lewis.
Yeah.
That trip was very good because we also met my uncle out there with my cousins. However, we're now going to move on to 2017, a bit more recently. And this year was the first time we went to Universal.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went back to staying in the villa on this occasion. And we stayed up around the Devonport area, just off the 192. And but yes, this was our first experience going back to Universal because we'd only really done Disney before and nothing else particularly. One night we just decided let's just go. It was like we got back from Disney, we'd had a swim, we'd got some food, and then we just said, shall we go to Universal, just try it out? And I think we got there about 6:30, 7 o'clock. It was late opening, but I don't think we really realised that it was open till 10. And literally, as we got there, loads of people just started leaving, and we went. I don't know. It must have been us. And then we decided that we were going to go over to to the Harry Potter section. We went over to Forbidden Journey. And we got basically in the queue thinking, we're going to be in the queue for hours. And I think we got on it within about 10 minutes. And we were so chuffed that we got on it. And literally, it was a mind-blowing experience for all of us. We just was like, what the heck has just happened here? This is the best attraction we have ever been on, ever in our lives. And so we just went on again, and then we went on again. Yeah. And then we went on again.
We kept going there. It was so good, and there was literally no wait because it was the end of the night. Yeah. And it was dark, and it was a walk on every time.
Literally, it was a walk on. And it was one of the best nights that we ever had in Florida, really. I mean, like, we did go away and do other things, and then we were just like, should we just go back? Let's go back. Let's go back. And then literally, we just like, I think we were away for like 20 minutes, and then we're just like, no, let's go back. Do it again.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there is one snack that I want to talk about, or not snack, but a drink that was there, and it was the butterbeer.
Yeah. I mean, we got some butterbeer. I mean, do you know what? We haven't had it for such a long time. I can't really remember what it tastes like. It's just kind of a sweet kind of drink, really. It was butterbeer, cold. I think you can get it iced now, can't you, as well? So you can get like an iced version, or just like a. I don't know.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we should talk about how we stayed in the villa, and I think before we move on to that discussion, I think we need to talk about the fact that this is the year that Freddy was obsessed with doing handstands in the pool. So we had our own pool in the villa, and every time we went in the pool, Freddy would literally just be doing handstands. There is nothing else you'd find him doing. And then also, when it was time to get out of the pool, Freddy would be like, "One more handstand, please. One more handstand." Anyway, I just thought that was funny.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, we won't say why Freddy continued to do handstands in the pool.
Move on.
No,
So the villa.
Villa. So the villa, actually, you know what the villa was. So I think what we discovered we didn't. Okay, so it was our first time that we had been as a 4, and it was a completely different experience. Really, we needed that time. We realised quite quickly that we needed to go into the parks, come out lunchtime, go back, have a swim. Evie and I, we're pretty good at kind of just cracking on. But, Freddie and Catherine, they need to have that break and get out of the heat. So we came up with a strategy really early on that we're just going to go into the parks, do the morning, come back, have some lunch, get in the pool, cool off, have a little rest, and then head back out again for the evenings. It was a great space for that. We didn't really use much else other than the bedrooms and the pool and the bathroom and the kitchen, obviously, because we ate lots of Oreos and lots of really bad stuff. And donuts. We had so many donuts.
Yeah.
But it was a great space to have. And the downside of it was that we were 35 minutes away from the parks. And, it takes 30 minutes to get out of the park to your car on some occasions. So at some points you were losing an hour or so just from leaving the park to getting back to your villa. So we realised again that was kind of a bit of a downside. But it works for a lot of people. People swear by villas, and so they should. It's if you love to have your own space and you just want to, you're not kind of so park focused, just villas, and you want to do different parks, lots of different places, and all of the variants of the Disney, Universal, Busch Gardens, SeaWorld, all that kind of stuff. You want to do lots of different things, then villas are definitely a good way to go.
Definitely. Just be careful because your kids might be obsessed with doing handstands every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
okay, so we talked about the villas. I think this is a really important thing we need to talk about. I think when people think about Disney, they think that it's going to go perfect every single time. I think we need to we need to kind of make people aware that there will be some things that go wrong, and there will be some disaster evenings.
Yes.
And we've had 2 of them, and we're gonna probably talk about them right now. So let me put it on the screen. So.
What do you mean we're probably going to talk about it right now? It looks sounds like we are going to talk about it right now.
I'm just kind of trying to ease into it, but come on, let's go. So the 2 pictures on the right. What restaurant is this?
So this is the Leaky Cauldron, people. I don't know. I have no recollection of what went bad here.
Do you want to tell the story because it kind of involved you?
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well, Freddy, I love Freddy. He's a pickle sometimes. And he decided that what he ordered at the Leaky Cauldron wasn't really what he wanted. And so he decided that it would be much better to nick his mum's food. And there was this little kind of to and fro in, and I just stepped in and went, Freddy, stop doing that. Freddy, stop doing that. Freddy, and then I got a bit cross. To which Freddy basically stormed off in a kind of "you're not my dad" kind of way, and he disappeared. And this obviously upset Mum, Catherine, quite substantially. And we couldn't get you back to the table. In fact, you'd gone right out the restaurant at some point. I mean, bearing in mind you were, 12 at that point? Maybe even 11 at that point. And basically then we managed to get you back to the table, but you wouldn't eat anything. And at that stage, Mum was very cross with me. like really cross with me because I'd upset her little boy. So she then got really, really huffy, and basically then said in the middle of where was it? It was like in the middle of
It was
Diagon Alley.
Alley, yeah.
Yeah.
She basically looked at me and said, "I don't like you very much." At which point, you two just then burst into tears because you thought we were having some massive, great argument, which we weren't. And then everybody just in the middle of Diagon Alley was just crying their heart out. So it was an experience.
And we look back on it and we laugh and joke about it. And
Absolutely. I mean, within an hour, we were probably laughing about it.
yeah.
But it was one of those moments, and they happen. We're quite fortunate that we don't have those incidences very often. But in the heat of holiday, and it's busy and it's hot, and you're trying to do the very best you can, it can be the smallest little thing that triggers off something a little bit electric, and that certainly happened on that occasion. So.
Yeah, I think this is a good link to 2018, which is the last time we went. And then let's talk about the second disaster night we had in 2018. Now, as you can see, this one revolves around Freddy again. So we can obviously see who causes the most trouble in this sibling relationship. So go on, Freddy. Why don't you explain what happened?
So basically, it's definitely not my fault. Definitely not my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we had a fast pass that we had to get to at Space Mountain, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
But then there was, as Florida is, there was a big thunderstorm. So we were sat under this shelter thing in some...
It was
outside Country Bears Jamboree.
Yes.
So yeah, we were there. We had to get to Splash Mountain.
Space Mountain.
Which
is all the way on the other side of the park.
In Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
And it started just chucking it down, and we had to make the decision whether we would go to Space Mountain but get our shoes wet, or we would just probably miss our fast pass. Now, I made the decision that even though I knew I didn't want to get my shoes wet, I made the decision that I wanted to go to the fast pass because
Space Mountain.
Yeah, Space Mountain. However, this time I might have misjudged a little bit. So you see, I run out of the shelter, and I run straight through a big puddle. I remember that quite clearly because that's when I first thought, hang on a minute, that probably wasn't the best idea. And then I'm walking as it stopped raining. We're walking to Space Mountain all together, and yeah, and then I start to really feel the squelchiness in the shoes. And I was not a fan of that. No. Let's just say that. But I was told, I remember this as well. I was told if we go on Space Mountain, it will dry me off. Now that was a lie.
Well, yeah, I think. Well,
you lied.
I think in your clothes it might have done, but definitely not your shoes. Can we just be clear? I know anybody that's been to Florida and been involved in an afternoon storm, the rain comes down in biblical proportions. It's just incredible. Literally, you're going from no rain to puddles 3-4 inches deep within a matter of minutes. And we were walking through literally puddles of 2 inches of water just to try and match our fast pass. And as Freddy so very correctly said, we had said to him, you're going to get wet. And we know how much you hate getting wet. But so let's just leave. Oh, no, it's fine. What you failed to leave out then, Freddy, is after that event, you then persistently started nagging at your mother get new shoes or new socks or whatever, to which she then had to go through every single store in Magic Kingdom to try and find you some new shoes or new socks, which we couldn't find anywhere. And then she got so fed up with you at one point, she literally marched you out of the park.
Yeah.
Literally, you were outside waiting for the ferry boat, and until you did what?
Well, I don't know, but somehow, wait, I don't even remember that part. But you can.
You
tell
got very
that.
upset and apologised.
Oh
and
yeah,
then
and then we managed to get back into the park.
Yes.
And what did you buy after that?
An umbrella.
An umbrella.
Oh yeah, we got an umbrella.
It wasn't even raining at that point.
No.
Anyway.
While this was going on, me and my dad went on Pirates of the Caribbean. So we had no idea what was happening with these two, did we? We had no idea.
No, nothing, no idea at all. We were kind of out doing stuff. Yeah, absolutely, Danny. You done half of it. I've got to say though, genuinely, these two are actually a pleasure to holiday with. It's just these odd things that, you know, when Freddy doesn't like stuff, he really doesn't like stuff, and there's no black or there's no in between. There's black or white, and that's it. So you know, it's like that's how it is. So you know, we'll talk about our future trip and potentials for that to go slightly wrong as well. But yeah, yeah. The moral of this story is to bring an extra pair of shoes with you,
or wear sandals, because I was wearing sandals fine.
Yes.
Or Crocs.
Yeah, I feel like we had to mention that because, you know, sometimes you can see how that everyone's holiday is going great, but actually there are things that go wrong, and
100%.
So what's our next topic?
But Lewis, this year though, what did we do? When we went back on site, we went to Caribbean Beach this time. So do you want to tell a little bit about how that was?
Yeah, so 2018, literally we got back from our 2017 trip. The Disney blues were set in instantaneously, and Catherine and I looked at each other. We took you guys swimming, and we were in the poolside just chatting to each other, and I just started looking on Disney holidays and going through it and just sort of saying, oh, this is quite a good deal, should we just go for it? And I think within about I think by the time you guys had got out of the pool, we'd booked Caribbean Beach. And we booked Caribbean Beach because it was a bit of a bargain, because they were doing a lot of construction with Riviera and with the Skyliner. So we managed to get a hefty discount on staying at this resort. But despite all the issues and the really horrid food tent that we won't talk about again because we've already done that one to death, we had the most fantastic time at Caribbean Beach. Catherine thought that this was going to be a dark and dingy resort. It was anything but. The rooms were amazing. I just fell in love with the resort TV, and we play resort TV music literally daily. Well, I do anyway. And then yeah, it was just a pleasure to be on site and have all the transportation locally, be able to get on the buses. We still had a free quick service, but we upgraded it to full dining plan. It was just an awesome trip.
Yeah, and I think this was the trip where we kind of realised that we liked on site better. And I think
100%.
there's a lot of benefits to it. And I think moving on to one of the benefits is that a lot of people don't know this, but you can book a breakfast or a dining reservation really early, and you can get in the park before anyone else. So that's what we did, and we booked Garden Grill really early, and I'll show you some photos of an empty park.
Hopefully,
hold on, it's coming. There it is. So the bottom right is a picture of the land, and it's completely empty. And then we went to our favorite restaurant, Garden Grill, and we had breakfast there.
Yep. Yeah,
so
indeed.
Do you want to explain about the early booking and how they can do that?
Yeah, so when you do advanced dining reservations now, at the moment they are 60 days in advance due to changes due to the pandemic. They used to be 180 days in advance. So you had to choose what you wanted to eat. Well, you didn't have to, but you could choose what you wanted to eat 6 months before you actually left, which for us was all part of the fun of and enjoyment of the holiday, actually. But it didn't take us long to work out that Garden Grill was actually our favourite restaurant, particularly for breakfast. And I preach about it pretty much on every single show that I go on. I won't preach about it again, but just know that the cinnamon bun is so amazing, and the way that you're looked after, the service, the character interaction. They normally have Mickey, Chippendale, and Pluto, and because it's a small revolving restaurant, so there's so many different features to it. But the fact that it revolves around the Living with the Land, you can see into the Living with the Land attraction as it revolves. And then as it's revolving, you've got all the characters coming around, and you see them 3 or 4 different times, and they're just so interactive. And then you just get this incredible food. What is not to love about the Garden Grill? And we've been for dinner once, which you guys can't remember, but I would highly recommend it for whatever meal you go to. They serve fresh produce that is actually grown downstairs from Living with the Land as well. So definitely, it used to be somebody mentioned it today on a chat I was in, that it was a hidden gem, but the way that we keep talking about it, I don't think it's going to be hidden for much longer.
Absolutely not. Definitely, Garden Grill is our favourite.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, as you know, we are very much foodies. Well, me and you are definitely. So let's talk about the boathouse at Disney Springs.
Okay.
And I'll put some photos up, if I can, of the dessert that we had.
Absolutely. So the boathouse is a fabulous restaurant in Disney Springs. It's if you're looking at dining credits, it's actually 2 sit-down meal credits. So it's quite an expensive restaurant if you're doing dining plan. And this was one of the reasons why I wanted to go to the boathouse. And this is a baked Alaska, which is it takes them 5 days to make because of it's so many complex components to it. But as you can see, it's bigger than Freddy pretty much at this time. It's supposed to serve 4 people, but you can serve 16 people out of this, no problem. And especially after you've had a big meal, it's huge. The thing you have to be I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed with it, actually. And one of the things that you have to be very careful of is the way that they cook it and the way they make it is they wrap it all in cling film. And sometimes, because of the way that they have to then layer it all up, the cling film doesn't always come off. So you can find little bits of cling film in the ice cream. So, and for something that is essentially $40, I think it was, would I do it again? Probably not. But it's definitely a once in a lifetime experience, and you definitely need to try it out. We're complete with the bits of cling film as well.
Yeah,
certainly give it a go.
Can I just say the only reason why we got it is because it was on the dining plan, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely, 100%. We wouldn't have got it otherwise.
$40 for that. Absolutely not.
No way. And also, one of my podcasting heroes is Lou Mongello, and he talks about the boathouse literally every episode that he's on. He loves that place. He's got his own table, I think, and he basically talked about this on one of his podcasts, and I thought we just had to do it. But you actually, Evie, said that you had the best ever steak there at that restaurant.
The steak was really good at that restaurant. It was so nice. And
what did Freddy have? The mac and cheese on that?
Did you have mac and cheese?
I can't even remember. All I remember is that huge Bates Alaska
Yeah.
just sat in front of me.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
we're gonna talk about a couple more things in this trip, and then we're gonna go on to the hints and tips. So something I just want to briefly mention is our experience at the boardwalk.
Yeah.
I'll put a photo up right now.
Oh yes. Okay.
Here. So,
Well,
you want to explain what happened?
Yeah.
Go on then.
Me.
Yeah.
So I think I've talked about this quite recently, but I hadn't been to the boardwalk before, and when we went last time, sorry, not last year, I wish it was last year. When we went last time, I was like, come on, guys, we've got to go to the boardwalk. There's lots of great things to do there, lots of things to see, lots of nice places to eat, obviously. So we literally walked the first 200 yards, and then Freddy just went, oh, look at those Surrey bikes. And literally within about 30 seconds had convinced Catherine that we should do these Surrey bikes. So, of course, then we had to queue for the Surrey bikes, which was we waited about 25 minutes for a Surrey bike. And then they had these Surrey bikes that we were just going round and round the boardwalk and Epcot area for, I don't know, was it an hour or 30 minutes? But it felt like an hour.
I think an hour, yeah.
Yeah, and but it was so much fun. It was so much fun. But unfortunately, I didn't get to see the boardwalk. I just got to see the round and round and round bits. But it was great fun, and definitely worth doing, guys. If you've got that opportunity to do some Surrey bikes and knock a few people. I mean, try and avoid a few people.
Yeah, and I think just really quickly, because we're running out of time. I think something else that's worth mentioning that we did was we went on Big Thunder Mountain while Happily Ever After was going on. So we got to have a really cool view of the fireworks. So like if you don't want to watch the fireworks a certain day, or you just want to escape the crowds for a bit, you can go on rides and you can still see the fireworks, and it was pretty cool to get that view there, wasn't it?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I would highly recommend trying to see the fireworks from different vantage points, and obviously go on rides during the fireworks, because so many people are actually standing in the hub and around. The rides are quiet, so really, if you've got a couple of spare nights or a spare night where you don't want to see the fireworks, then that's definitely a place for you.
Okay, cool. I think we've covered everything in our Florida experiences. So let's move on to the hints and tips section of the show. So the first one, go on, Freddie. Let's talk about this.
So one underrated restaurant and ride.
Oh, crikey, that's good. These are not my normal ones, so I'm really not prepared for this.
Sorry.
Underrated? No, it's fine. Underrated, right? So underrated restaurant. I think Garden Grill actually is an underrated restaurant. Really, I think we're proving that because whenever we go, it's never busy. I don't think people actually see it. So yeah, that's definitely an underrated thing. Attraction, underrated attraction. I can say an attraction that I love and that other people don't, and it's a Small World. But I love Carousel of Progress. I love it as an old school attraction, and you two hate it.
Hate is a strong word.
Well, I just would rather spend my time on a different ride.
Yeah. I think that sums it up.
Yeah, you would rather spend your time on something that goes up and down very quickly. But I just love the old school attractions, and the fact that Walt had a hand in that in some way was really, it's special. And having the opportunity to go on that, and again, it takes, there's not many people that go on it. It's quite empty generally. So although I think that there's more and more queues on it right now, but in the general scheme of things, I think it's an underrated attraction. So that's my answer.
Okay. Well, Claire has said that she thinks Mission Space is underrated.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, actually, and actually we watched a video on Mission Space the other day, didn't we? And you didn't realise that the pods actually went round like a proper space simulator. So yeah, it's I would agree with that. I mean, it's not one of my go-to attractions, Mission Space, but I certainly enjoy it. So yeah.
Okay, let's go to the second one. The second one is, you can only go to one. Would you go to Typhoon Lagoon or Blizzard Beach? And why?
Okay, we love Typhoon Lagoon. We love Typhoon Lagoon mainly for the wave pool. We spend hours in it as a family. So it has to be that. So let's be honest that we don't do many of the slides there. Queuing in the heat is just it's so tough, and so we try and do as many of the flumes as we can, but we tend to try and do those first thing, and then we spend a lot more time in the main wave pool. But I much prefer the vibe, the feel of Typhoon Lagoon over Blizzard Beach. The last time we went to Blizzard Beach, we literally were there for about half an hour and we came out because we just we weren't feeling that place at all. But you know, that's why there's so many different parks. There's different water parks because they, everybody has their different opinion and likes something different.
Yes.
Definitely.
So, hint and tip number 3.
Sure.
Is something or just anything that you would bring as an essential item in your bag.
Thank you for asking this question. And
it's the one you always ask, so I thought I'd put it in.
Yeah, and I've already answered it myself, really, because Jamie Moore in episode 4 or 5 said it. And the very, very, very first, one of the main things that I take is a 4 or 6-way adapter, because we have so many gadgets and gizmos and phones and iPads and stuff to charge. It's so much better to take one of those than it is to take lots of power converters and adapters. So yes, and Catherine says also plasters for Evie's feet, because she always tends to wear the worst footwear ever. So this year we actually said, if touch wood we get to go this year, we are buying everybody Skechers. I know that's a big thing that when we've talked about what do you pack decent shoes, comfortable shoes. We said that we're going to buy everybody Skechers, and whether you like the style of them or not, you're going to wear them. So, yeah, indeed. There you go.
Okay. Well, thanks for that.
That's right.
Okay, last hint and tip. We're going to talk about some tips on saving money. So something that I know we mentioned on Tuesday when we were filming the Do What Makes You Dizzy podcast. Buy your merch at the start of the holiday, especially if it's clothing.
Yeah, I made a massive mistake on that. I am denied about T-shirts and stuff, and I didn't actually buy it until the second from last day or something, and regretted that completely. Never got rid of it. I got to wear it the last day, and that was it. So yeah, do buy your merchandise early.
And I have to put this up. Plug number 2, of course. Okay. So we need to talk about when to fly, which is the best times to fly. So you mentioned to me weekdays, off-peak times, things like that.
Yeah, okay. So this is me getting into my travel agency side of things. I know that people like to go sort of Saturday to Saturday, Saturday to Saturday, because you can have, it's good for taking time off work, and then if you go Saturday to Saturday, then you can recover on the Sunday and get back to work on the Monday. If you're able to, whether you're going during school holidays times or during non-school holiday time, always trying to go midweek. Fly it out midweek, because you will save so much money. I would say at least 150 to 200 pounds per person on flights alone, flying out on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Thursday. So definitely consider, if you're able to, fly in a midweek, because that will really help you save a few pounds.
Yeah, so you said that you were getting into your travel business mode.
So, yeah, with this travel business mode you're talking about, what is this kind of where you started to get the idea of your great adventures and starting this business?
This business?
Yes.
So Your Great Adventures has been pinging around my head for a very long time. For my very first job was in travel. I did a YTS scheme job. You guys won't know what that is, but essentially I was paid like £35 a week to go in and work full time. I travelled 2 hours a day to get to this job in Highgate, and I worked in Highgate Travel Agency, and I liked it. I really liked it. Actually, for those of you who are old enough to know who Victoria Wood is, Victoria Wood used to come into the shop, and I used to write out her first class train tickets. We were writing stuff out at that time, back in the day, and I really enjoyed it. But unfortunately, I clashed with one of the. I was quite young. I was probably only a couple of years older than you guys, and I wasn't really well versed in the world, shall we say, and I felt a bit bullied by a colleague, so I couldn't continue it anymore, and I found I kind of moved away. But I'd always wanted to be in travel. I actually did my GCSEs to be a pilot, and I couldn't be a pilot because A, it wasn't clear enough, and B, I can't hear anything. And then I wanted to work in airlines or something. Never really kind of took off, and found myself in a completely different path. I'd always wanted to be in travel, and then I'd always be helping people book their holidays, whether it be a Florida holiday or honeymoons to Kenya, or people would ask me, "Can you look at this? Can you look at that?" And my folks used to be awesome at getting amazing deals through all sorts of different ways, and it just kind of went from there. And then a few years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I've relapsed remitting MS, and at that point, I just thought, well, I've got to think about us and the future, and what I want to do is taking control of my own life, I guess. And we had just done a trip to Menorca with the family, and there were 17 of us. I organised the whole thing, and they kept saying to me, "You should do this for a living. You should do this for a living." And that was what sparked it, really. Getting back into travel, and then looking at how I can take control of my own life. It was a long journey, and we finally made the investment in 2019. Unbeknownst to us, this pandemic has hit, and what could have been a really good year or so has unfortunately been hit really, really hard. But we're still standing. We're still helping some lovely people that are, watching now, and other people from the Get Binky community, the Florida community, and obviously I specialise in all things Disney, Universal, Florida, and the USA, but I can do any type of travel across the world, including, I might add, the Disney Cruise Line staycations. I want to just plug that. If you are thinking about doing a Disney Cruise Line staycation, please do get in touch with me, because I can help you with that.
Definitely. Thank you for that.
That's all right.
We have. Do you want to do? What are you going to say? Go on.
So, also with this with your great adventures, you've also now started this recently, your Florida adventures, and I know you've been enjoying that quite a lot. You've been making some little investments here and there, you know. You've had quite a few people on. You started off with our good friend Del and Jen from Get Binky.
Yeah.
And you've had a lot of good lads on the show, and now you're here with us, you know. You know,
Absolutely.
obviously it's not your show anymore though.
It's our show.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I'm not in Disney, you know, you guys know what it's like. If we're not in Florida, we're not in Disney. We're talking about Disney.
Yeah.
In Florida, if we're not talking about Disney, we're researching when we're going to go next. If we're not planning that, we're listening to music. We're watching vlogs. We're watching the DFB guide. We are looking at our phones and looking at the Disney Experience app and finding out how long the queue is for Galaxy Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, or for Peter Pan, or for Pandora. What's the Flight Passage. We're always doing something that's Disney or Florida related, and so why not just talk to people about it and see what their love has stemmed from, and find out about stuff that maybe they do that I've never done before, and it might help somebody else. And that's all it is. It's just an opportunity. We've got 9, 10. We've had sort of 15 people watching tonight, and I'm delighted that I would say half of that is probably our family, but I'm delighted that people are tuning in week after week and wanting to hear people's stories. And if it was just one person, I would do it. And I'll take this opportunity. If you haven't been on the show yet and you're watching now and you haven't been on the show and you want to just talk about Disney, I would love to hear from you and have a conversation with you on here, because there's nothing better than especially in these times where we can't get over to the parks, nothing better than having a good old Disney or Universal or Florida chin wag.
Definitely.
Now, while we've now moved back onto the topic of Disney again, we're gonna hit you with some pretty hard questions. We're gonna do a would you rather.
So this or that section.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the first question. Would you rather, if you were on a holiday and you could only choose between the two, would you rather go to Walt Disney World or Universal?
It's a really tough question, especially with some new attractions coming up in Universal, but it would be Walt Disney World every single time, hands down.
Yeah, definitely. Now, second one. So, we both have our snacks that we really like. I really like the Mickey Crispy Cake. Freddy really likes the toffee apple.
Yes.
So, if you could choose between one of them, would it be the Mickey Crispy Cake or the toffee apple?
So I like both, but my grandmother used to make me crispy cakes, chocolate ones, since I was a kid. So Rice Krispie treats with marshmallows are high on my agenda, and I would, if I could only have one of them, I'd have those.
Ha.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to agree with you on that, to be honest.
Of course.
But while we're talking about food here, the next question is California Grill or Chef Art Smith's Homecoming?
I know you haven't done any of these yet, and I want to see what you would rather do.
Oh, that's a tough one. So yeah, we've not done these. These were on our list, and we had booked these for our trip last year. I think the experience, from an experience point of view, I think that I would definitely be going to California Grill.
Yeah, I think I would agree.
Yeah.
Cool. I just
Freddy's not bothered.
Sure.
Okay, number. Oh, I've put number 3 twice, so this is number 3.2.
Yeah.
Would you rather spend a day with Jasmine or Timon and Pumbaa? I'm sorry, I have to put the Jasmine thing in there somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Timon and Pumbaa for sure.
Really?
I mean,
Are you
yeah,
sure?
Yeah,
Are you
definitely.
sure?
There'd be a proper laugh, wouldn't
I'll
they?
do a little
And to be
shenanigan.
fair,
Awesome.
Pumbaa probably has a similar kind of situation as I do from a wind perspective. So
Ah,
Okay, moving on.
okay, so
Number 4.
after you've eaten, Lewis, you've got the decision. Well, this is your only decision. Your 2 options. Would you go on Mission Space Orange or Stitch's Great Escape?
After you've eaten. Mission Space or Stitch's Great Escape. You've just had a massive meal.
oh. Right. Well, I don't think I'd be able to cope with Mission Space, and because of the movement of it going round and round and being that would just make me absolutely sick. The other thing, Stitch's Great Escape, although it is not there, it doesn't really move or do anything. It just chucks out disgusting smells every now and again. So it would be probably that one.
Okay. After you've eaten, you having disgusting smells in your face.
Yeah.
Okay. Good choice.
Yeah.
Number 5. So there's 2 really cool attractions coming to Disney.
Yep.
Tron, and we've already got Rise of the Resistance, which you haven't ridden yet. So
No.
your 5th one is: would you rather never go on Tron or never go on Rise of the Resistance?
I'd rather never go on Tron. Like literally, Rise of the Resistance just looks utterly epic, and there's no, as a massive Star Wars fan, as somebody that's grown up with Star Wars, I cannot not go on that thing. So I would go on Rise of the Resistance every single day of the week.
Yeah, I thought you were going
to. I would like to.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question. One of these shows has to go, and you're the decision maker for Disney. Is it Happily Ever After or Fantasmic?
Yeah, I got you with this one last time, didn't I?
We're getting you back.
Yeah. It is such a hard question, but we have. Okay, so it's either that we don't get the point where we just breaking our hearts on the very last night of the trip, or we don't get to go do this anymore. Oh Lord. Danny says Fantasmic bye.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I agree. I mean, I don't know. I'm really torn. Yeah, okay, Fantasmic can go.
Yeah, I think
There's one in California.
I don't
You can see it there. It's
I
better.
wouldn't agree. The only reason I probably wouldn't agree is because Disney have this thing with their fireworks where they change them every so often. You know, I know that Happily Ever After will obviously be here for a good while, but I don't know what would be able to really replace Fantasmic.
Well,
okay. Well,
I'm sure we'll see. It'll have to go at some point, so it'll get replaced with something.
Number 7. So you know that Your Florida Adventures has lots of guests on the show. So who would you rather have be a guest on the show? Would you rather have AJ from DFB Guide or the Tim Tracker?
Well, AJ all day long. Although Catherine hates her voice. Yeah, I'm not big on the old Tim Tracker. I don't tend to watch that. I'm sorry if Mr. Tracker's watching or anybody loves Mr. Tracker, but I don't really watch his stuff unless it's a kind of a resort review. There's sometimes his resort reviews are fairly good, but I will always watch pretty much every single DFB guide. So, and I, definitely think I prefer that format, and I prefer to have a chat with her. It's just a Tim Tracker sounds like Kermit Frog, and he absolutely does. So, and I was refraining from saying that. I was trying to be kind, but no, fair enough.
That's funny, actually.
Okay, so the next one is: would you get rid of Garden Grill but keep the Land Pavilion, or get rid of Land Pavilion but keep Garden Grill?
Sorry. Let me explain. Did you get that?
Yeah, I got it. No, it's absolutely fine.
Okay,
I understand it.
I didn't know how to word it.
I'm
No.
pretty sure it's this one.
I totally get it. And you're wrong on so many levels. But we'd have to keep Garden Grill.
Yeah.
But it probably wouldn't be the same because they wouldn't get the produce from the land.
Mm-hmm. So soaring and living with the land is gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one. Good luck. Would you rather eat the kitchen sink from Beaches and Cream or the baked Alaska from the Boathouse? The whole thing by yourself. Which one?
Which one would I rather eat? Oh,
By
without a doubt. Yeah, Beaches and Cream, the kitchen sink. I think there's just going to be a few more textures than the baked Alaska. The baked Alaska is just like
Cling film.
cold stuff.
Cling film.
Yeah, and cling film.
Yeah.
And there's just so many different types of ice cream and cream and so kitchen sink for me, and I would happily give it a fair go.
Okay, so the last one. The parks have shut completely. You're, however, locked in the parks, and you're starting to get a little bit tired, Lewis. And so, you have the option of sleeping in Haunted Mansion or Tower of Terror.
Wow, that's a great question. Wow. Oh my goodness. I would probably go with Tower of Terror. There's still an element of warmth in their lobby than there is, much more than there is in the Haunted Mansion. I would probably go Tower of Terror. That's an awesome question, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's all of the would you rathers.
Okay.
So obviously the last thing that you ask every single guest is, do you have any future trips booked?
So we do. We are planning to go. We are booked to go in July this year, and we want to go. And we haven't moved it. We haven't cancelled, and with our vaccine program and state's vaccine program, we feel that there might be a really good chance of us getting an air corridor and getting the opportunity to go. So with that in mind, even if we have to wear masks and we may not see all the fireworks and stuff like that, we're gonna give it a go. If we can go, we'll go. I think, and we're going with grandma and granddad, of course. So so obviously it's got to be a big family decision, but I think at the moment we're still kind of hoping that we can go. So that'd be great.
Definitely. Well, thank you for being on our show tonight. You've been a really good guest.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
So for all the viewers who don't know you, because they probably don't, because you've never been on the show before, how are they going to connect with you?
Okay, so you can connect with me through, Your Great Adventures, obviously, my personal travel planning, and you can contact me at lewis@yourgreatadventures.co.uk, or you can check us out on Facebook, and we have an Instagram page as well, and we have a website, www.yourgreatadventures.co.uk. Obviously, you can contact me via your Florida Adventures Facebook page, and if you would like to be a guest, please do get in touch. That would be awesome. And you can contact me. You can give me a friend request on Facebook as well if you want to. That's absolutely fine.
Well, thank you for joining us.
That's all right. Is that it? Am I done?
Yeah, you're done. We're doing the outro.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Goodbye. Oh, he's gone.
You just got rid of him.
I removed him completely. Boom, kapoof, disappeared.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everyone that watched the show tonight. Thank you for everyone who commented. We love seeing your opinions and everything that you've said. As Lewis said, if you want to be on the show, email yourfloridaadventures@gmail.com, because we'd love to have more guests lined up in the future. Do everything he said. Follow his Facebook, YouTube. He's got everything. And let people know that you've watched the show. Share it. Just do everything that you want to do to share and help the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to be back next week. We're not going to be on, so that's really sad. I'm really sorry. You're not going to see us tomorrow. I'm not sorry, not tomorrow. Next week. Next week. You're not going to see us next week. But it will still be on Thursday, 7:30, like normal. And yeah, we'll see you there. So thank you for watching.
Goodbye, everybody.